Hello friends, Lee here from TableTop Bong. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I thought we'd kick back, have a bowl or two, and I would tell you a story about a gentleman by the name of Grant Conley that I would like to offer my gratitude to. I'm going to tell you the story of why I am offering my gratitude to this gentleman and how this complete stranger absolutely changed my life. Okay, so that's kind of, at least lets you know where we're going here. This dude changed my life. I didn't even know him at the time. And I'm going to tell you exactly how that happened. And I'm going to vape today with my Taroma 360 in my, black and tan TableTop Bong. Sorry, I've already done a couple of takes with this and I'm hitting this Taroma 360. And for anybody who's used one, you know how hard these hit. And today I am vaping some Mac number 1 mixed with Alien OG, and it works really, really well. All right, so I'm going to tell you why I am offering this dude, Grant Conley, my gratitude today. I received an email yesterday letting me know that Grant Conley was retiring. And let me tell you what he did. He created an energy healing modality called ZPoint. I came across ZPoint in the most bizarre fashion. I was like a 30-year-old dude, roughly, something like that. You know, I'm the kind of guy who likes to lay on the ground and work on his pickup truck. And, you know, I live in the country and fish and walk my dog in the bush. And, you know, I'm that guy, right? Like, totally that guy. I hear in passing somebody having a conversation or something. It's so inconsequential at the time. I don't even remember the exact detail. I just know that it was a situation where I overheard somebody say the term ZPoint. And I don't remember anything about the sentence before or after that term, but it lodged in my head. It just lodged there. I don't know why it happened, but I guess in the end I do know why, but it seemed really random at the time that this one thing, ZPoint, stuck in my head. So, since it was stuck in my head, I decided I would research, what is this? So then I found out it was a modality of energy healing. All right, to me, you know what? I don't know a whole lot about what that means. I've heard the term energy healing before. No real concept of what it was, though. Right, so I'm like, I don't even know what the word modality means at this point in time, quite honestly. It just was the furthest thing from my experience of the world. Was I a spiritual person? Yes, I would say in myself at that time, I was a spiritual person that didn't really know I was yet. I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. So I looked into what this was, and it turns out with a little bit of digging online, I found where Grant Conley, this awesome gentleman, had published a whole ebook breaking down this entire energy healing modality and what the steps were of how to do it. So I downloaded it and was like, all right, I'm going to try this. Why did I want to try it? Because I had gone through some serious stuff in my life before I had reached this point that had taught me to turn all of my emotions off. I learned to do that at a reasonably young age in my life, I guess. And now, you know, fast forward from the time where I learned to turn my emotions off, now I have a couple of kids and I want to feel all this love for them, and I know logically how much I love them, but it doesn't mean that, you know, it's pouring out of me or that I, emotionally actually understand it. I just intellectually understand what the emotions mean. Right, and I'm unable to really feel any of them. And in my research of this energy healing modality called ZPoint, that this guy Grant Conley created, it said I could possibly begin to feel some stuff if I began to work with this system. I'm like, why is he just giving this up? Like, what? I didn't have to give up no money for this. How's that happening, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not something I recognize in the world. But I decided, because I didn't really feel like it was weird, even though I was a bit skeptical, I decided to give it a go anyway, because I was honestly, at this point, I was desperate to feel something. I had tried a lot of stuff in my life to feel differently. I did traditional talk therapy, and I tried, the medicine route and all that jazz, and none of it did anything that really, changed the game for me substantially, at least in a way that I wanted to stick with it. Cheers. Rolling a 360 just rips. Hey, I've got the PID set at 500, which is definitely high for this device. But it's so good. You can see how completely in one hit that vapes that out, right? And I didn't even do a heat soak with that. It's really nice. Really nice. So, I'll make a long story short. So I decided I was going to try, and all it really was, like, this is the cool thing. When I read everything about it, it was just like I think it was a 100-page ebook or something that I found. And when I read everything about it, it outlined exactly what to do and the entire protocol. And basically, you just say a series of statements, and at certain points, you say a trigger word, or like a cue word, it's called. And you just repeat this word a number of times in this certain point when you read these statements. I'm like, that seems pretty easy. I don't really understand what it's going to do. But other things I tried that are all, described to be the answer to these situations, none of them worked. So I thought, well, maybe this thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, maybe it'll do something. Right? Like, what do I got to lose at this point in time? I'm going to sit there, I'm going to read some stuff, I'm going to say a word, I'm not going to understand what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's basically what I thought. Right? And I'm like, I don't know what this author, Grant Conley, is like. Is this even fiction, or what's going on? Is this real? Right? This is what I'm thinking, all this stuff, but I'm like, I'm going to give it a try. I got nothing to lose. I really want to feel the love, with my kids. Like, this opening up to love thing, it's important to me. So I started following the protocol and doing the steps and doing the steps and doing the steps. And I worked on this like night after night after night for quite a while. And honestly, if I'm straight up, nothing gave. Like, nothing. And I stayed on it. I decided, what the heck? I'm going to really give this a go. Maybe I'm going to learn something I need to know along the way to activate this thing. I'm going to make it work. I decided, right? Yeah. Not really the approach, but hey, at least it gave me some tenacity and got me to stay on it. So what I'm realizing as I'm working on this thing, this guy, this Grant Conley dude, he got some thread of information put in front of him from some source. I don't know what it is, right? But he gets this whole thread of information put in front of him to create this whole protocol of ZPoint, and to make all these statements and put it together, and to stop his entire life that's in motion and decide to teach this thing to people and to use it and to do sessions with people to make them feel better. Like, this is what this guy did, right? Like, he burned all of his bridges and just did it. Attaboy. Way to go. So he pulled on this thread, and then he put it out there for free for other people if they really needed it and had no resources. And my friends at that time had 0 resources. I could come up with no money, like 0, to do anything, self-improvement. It was like, you know what? How about eating? That was more the goal at the time than, self-improvement as far as my finances were concerned. self-improvement had to come from another source. So lucky for me, this dude put it out there. And I stayed on it, and I stayed on it, and I stayed on it, and nothing happened, and nothing happened, and nothing happened. So eventually what ended up happening was I decided, because in the statements, it's talking about feelings, right? And I'm blank. I'm like talking about all these feelings. So I'm already disconnected or disassociated from the process. So I decided to pretend to feel like, as almost a joke, it felt like in my mind. I'll pretend to feel what's going on in the words, ha ha. And then I did it. And I pretended to feel it. And I did it again. And I'm like, what's going on? Why? What? I think I feel something. And then I did it some more, and I pretended, and then all of a sudden I realized I was doing it more and more and more, and I didn't have to pretend anymore. I was actually feeling. And then I went a little too far, too fast, and I put myself into this whole wild set of emotions that was a little bit difficult to deal with for a couple of days. I really stirred up a lot of, I took the lid off of Pandora's box, if you will, instead of just selecting thing after thing to bring to the surface and work on. I popped it all open, and it didn't feel good. But I learned something about it, right? I learned something, and I stayed on it. And because of that impactful experience I had in the very beginning, it opened me up to really getting a desire for more and more knowledge of things like this. If this one thing impacted me in this way, once I understood it, what else existed? So I went on and, I certified in, more than a dozen different modalities of energy healing anyway. I don't even keep track anymore. It's not really that important to me that I'm certified in it. Once I have the information, to me, that's really what matters. So, it's what you do with the information, right? I think that's the key to any education. You can have it, but if you don't implement it, it's just archived in you as a computer, I suppose. So, that really, it got me hungry, because things began to shift and began to change. And along the way, as things began to open up, I don't know how it even occurred now, because it was quite a while ago. But I ended up connecting with Grant Conley on the phone one day. And it wasn't to book a session or something. I think I had read something that he had said, contact me if you have had positive experiences with ZPoint or something like that. So I reached out to him, and I think I had already bought, at this point, maybe I had bought now the certification course when it went on sale for $100 or something. He had a crazy deal once, and I managed to scrape up $100 because it was like a 24-hour deal or something, and I got the whole package. And it was the best money I ever spent. But I ended up reaching out to him for some reason and telling him the impact that it had. And we got into a conversation about different experiences that we were both having, and it helped him move forward another element of ZPoint that he had been working on. And I felt really blessed to be in that conversation when that happened for him. He had a bit of an epiphany that allowed him to move another part of it forward, and it was cool. It was really cool. And then I hadn't again spoken to him for until yesterday, as a matter of fact. And then I had received that information that he was retiring. And I felt compelled to reach out and to say, thank you. Thank you for what you did. You changed my life, man. What you did, pulling on that thread that time. You're given this download that probably didn't make sense to you, and you pulled on that thread, and you changed your whole life to do that thing, and that thing changed the course of my whole life. And now all of a sudden, I'm doing a whole lot different than I was gonna be doing if I had stayed on the same trajectory that I was on. And I was really gushing. I have to be honest, I was gushing because it was so impactful. It really helped me do a 180 when I needed it the very, very most. So then what does he say to me? He says to me, and it was so simple and so elegant, and honestly, it was the perfect thing that he could have said. I loved every part of it. He simply said, "Are you happy with who you are?" And I was like, whoa, wow. You don't want to talk about how this impacted you or your ego or, most people at that point would want to, enter their own feelings about how they've impacted this other person. And he didn't do that, not at all. He just asked simply the question, are you happy with who you've become? And I said, yeah, I really, truly am happy with who I've become as a result of finding the information that you put into the world. And then he said, I'm happy to have contributed. That was it. It was magical for me, honestly. What a beautiful conclusion to a life-changing situation. And I feel so blessed for the entire experience. I just wanted to share it with you guys because for any people out there, and I have to keep this in my mind as well, for anyone who is a creator in the world, and many, many people create things and put them into the world. For those people who are creating and putting things into the world on purpose, keep doing what you're doing. And thank you. Thank you for doing that, because you never know that thing that you're doing, you never know how it is impacting another person unless they tell you. And guess what? Lots of people will be impacted and will never tell you. So keep on creating, keep putting into the world. That man following that thread so many years ago opened up the door for me to be sitting here today, just nearly obsessed with putting love into the world. Because I feel so much love and joy and potential. I feel so blessed to be serving this community and everybody here. I would have never become this person without that man pulling on the thread and creating. I've tried to take that lesson and I try and do the same thing and pull on the threads that get put in front of me and to do my very best to create with them and to share with my community and to share with other people, which is exactly what I'm doing right now in sharing my gratitude for Grant Conley. I hope that we can all share together and send him some love energy, because he truly did just put his heart into creating in the world. And he impacted a lot of things that will impact a lot of other things in the world. And I'm blessed and grateful for it. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing this journey and this story with me, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this and that you got something out of this. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, take care.